We're at 5 Jurassic movies. 5! I don't know if a dinosaur theme park builds a franchise. Whatever. Let's talk about Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom. So Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom is the 5th Jurassic Park movie. Actually, I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to call it the 2nd Jurassic World movie, which since the first one, I was like, the first one's really good. My review is already up today, but I really enjoyed the first one. Now, we got ourselves a sequel. The sequel, I was like, we need a sequel to that movie. And I had my doubts in this movie. I was going into this movie with a Jeremy Jennings review, a Chris Tuckman review. Both of those don't tend to be always so positive. So I was like, oh, well, I guess it's not going to be great, but maybe I'll have some fun. So me and my brother went into this movie. We just sat down. The whole theater's filled because, you know, Jurassic. And from the very opening scene of this movie, I knew what I was in for. A movie that was... It's so hard to describe this movie. I guess this was actually really good. This movie is gonna divide people. I know it. This movie is gonna divide everybody. Because me and my brother walked to the theater. My brother just said, I just say, that was really good. And then my brother just says, eh. And it's just, This movie was actually really well made. Like, I was surprised. And my brother said it was a disappointment. If you guys want to know my brother's channel, link in the description below. His channel is very fun. I've always really liked to watch his videos, so just, I'm advertising his channel. You should go watch it. Okay, one thing first off. There are a couple things in this movie that I didn't like. Let's go over the acting. The acting in this movie, everyone did great. I thought, whoever plays Claire, I'm not remembering her name, but I thought that she, in the first movie, I was like, just kind of generic character. This movie, they add development behind her, so I liked her more in this movie. Also, Owen in this movie, played by Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's one of my favorite actors. This movie, he's only plays the same character, just the really cool guy who was really skilled. And in the first one, he was just the animal dude. That he didn't really have much development behind him. This movie, instead, we get a really good arc with him, between him and his raptor. It really worked for me. He's way more intense, he's cooler in this movie. I dug Chris Pratt's role. I also really like Claire's character. Alright, new faces! This guy, okay, that one guy that was in the trailer that he looks like he was going to be the most annoying thing in the world. He's pretty annoying in this movie, but he never gets in the way. He's annoying, but I didn't hate him. I thought he was... Seen the character before. And that one girl in the movie, the other girl that he always works for, is so boring. Like, she just doesn't really... I mean, she does things important in the movie, but she never did anything that made me care more about her as a character in this very well-made movie. Also, I'm completely spacing out who directed this movie, but this guy, I'm not remembering his name, but if you guys watched my Impossible review from maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I don't know, I was very positive on the movie. I really liked The Impossible, and he directed this movie. I was a bit skeptical when I heard that, but I thought his directing is what stood out in this movie. I mean, the way he shoots everything, the way he makes a dinosaur creepy, it really worked. Also, the one scene in the trailer in the back of the truck with the T-Rex and Owen, that scene was pretty cool. I'm going to talk about the trailers real quickly. The trailers of this movie. If you've seen the trailer, you can pretty much know where this movie was going. In fact, when this movie started, I was like, before the movie, I was like, I think it's going to go like this. And then after the movie, I was like, it went exactly as I thought. Not entirely, but it did pretty much. Also, the first Jurassic World, I can say it was just dumb fun. It wasn't realistic. That was one thing I didn't love about that movie. Because the first Jurassic Park is somewhat realistic. I mean, I guess the science isn't realistic. However, in this movie, the realistic side of things is explored. Like how, the island's about to explode. That's from the trailers. But should we protect these animals? Should we let them die on that island? Or should we bring them back and help them as our animals? Do they count as species on Earth? Or should they just left to die? Jeff Goldblum's in this movie. I was excited when I heard that. Did nothing in this movie. He has that one courtroom scene. He's in one scene in this movie. He didn't do anything. It was just fan service. It felt just so rub it in your face fan service. This movie's also really creepy, I guess. Like, when we're in there's a scene in this movie with the scene where we see the kid, like, where she's, like, telling him that, Claire is telling that kid that it's not, like, he's like, it's a T-Rex, and it's like, it's not a T-Rex. Then a dinosaur comes in. That scene was very, very unsettling, and it just made me gripping my seat. I really like that scene. The movie's the creepiest Jurassic movie. I thought Jurassic Park, I think the Velociraptor scene is one of the creepiest scenes in cinematic history, and it's not even a horror scene. However, nothing else from any movie was really that creepy. This movie has multiple scenes that are very unsettling, just... However, this movie has one problem, and that is, it didn't have the memorable action sequence that other movies had. Jurassic Park had a lot of them. I'm not going to name one. The T-Rex scene, the Velociraptor scene, the ending thing with the T-Rex and the Velociraptors, that scene. The Lost World had the cliff scene. Jurassic Park 3 had nothing. But this movie didn't have that moment of, like, the really good scene. I said there are a lot of scenes that are very intense in this movie. Yeah, but they're not necessarily as quality as any other scene. There's not really that epic scene like from Jurassic World, T-Rex versus Indominus. There never was that. But talk about goosebumps when that T-Rex just roars. Those scenes when the T-Rex just roars, it's just, oh my god, that thing is huge. Alright, here's one of my problems with Jurassic World. The first one. It didn't really make these dinosaurs feel like giant, real creatures. I never felt the massive scale of these things. This movie, they used a lot more animatronics in. Like, there's a scene with Blue, and they're, like, trying to treat him. That scene, Blue is, like, moving around. It felt like a real dinosaur. Same with the scene with the T-Rex. I was like, that's an animatronic. There are so many scenes in this movie where I was like, the animatronics are great. And the CGI. I thought the CGI in this movie was so well put together. I just loved it. I loved the living heck out of the CGI in this movie. The CGI is better in this movie than the last one. I liked that. This movie doesn't... Another problem I had with this movie is that this movie doesn't feel like it has a climax. I mean, granted, the volcano scene is the most intense scene in this movie. Actually, the volcano scene, I forgot to talk about. That volcano scene was epic in every sense of the word. Also really liked... Like, the volcano scene is just more climactic than any scene. So let's say, the first third of this movie was honestly my favorite part of it, because it was just better, it had cooler things, I just liked that first third. The second act of this movie kind of slows down and does nothing. It didn't bother me, but it just didn't do much. Third act picks up, not as much as the first act, but when I usually like the third act most out of a movie. Sometimes I think the third act's the worst part of a movie. However, that's weird in a movie like this. The third act should be the best part. Instead, the first act is the best part. The movie does almost feel like two movies combined into one, because, you know, they have the volcano thing and they have the whole mansion thing. But overall, I thought they clashed together well. Henry Wu is in this movie, and I was a bit like, well, of course he's in this movie. Fan service! However, this movie actually plays a very vital role that actually was like, you actually made this character somewhat likable. Alright, so one thing in the trailer we always saw was the Indoraptor. That raptor in the trailer, that's just a bigger raptor, yeah, does nothing in this movie. He has a few scenes that are pretty intense. The one scene with the girl in the bed when he's just reaching his claw. That scene was intense. I check out that scene in that movie. The scene where he turns the handle, that might be the best scene in this movie because of the way it's shot. If you focus on this scene, it's so well shot, it just blew my mind in the theater. I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. Because in the end, what other way to word it? Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom is a very good sequel. I really liked this movie, but I didn't love everything that happened in it. There's one plot point that happens in the middle of this movie. It did nothing and it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It was so dumb. Well, overall, I thought the movie worked as a whole. I had a very, very good time with this movie. I thought it was such a fun ride. I think it would be if you're, like, granted, you already know my rating is, but if I were to rank it, maybe on my Jurassic Park scale, you have to find out next week. However, let's just say it, this movie's gonna divide the fan base, so right now, I'm gonna be on the side that's like, yeah, I really like Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom. I'm gonna give this movie an 8. A lot of people are really gonna hate this movie. A lot of people are really gonna hate me for really liking this movie. However, I am on this channel to give my opinion. So yeah. Alright, so my Fallen Kingdom spoiler talk will come out on Monday, and I'll do my ranking on Tuesday. Sorry, I'm gone this whole weekend. I really wanted to get this spoiler talk out, like, tomorrow, ASAP, but I just couldn't. Whatever. Yeah. What do you guys think of the Fallen Kingdom? Or what is your favorite Jurassic Park movie that is not the first Jurassic Park? Let me know in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be seeing no movies in theaters till Ant-Man, and I'm not seeing that movie right when it comes out. The background on Ant-Man will be different. I'm on vacation then, and I was like, maybe I could just see Ant-Man and the Wasp then, but I'll be in a different background then, so just saying. Kind of what I did with A Wrinkle in Time. Well, whatever, guys. See you guys next time.